Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ, King of endless glory. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Glory to you, O Lord. As Jesus passed by, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answered, "Neither he nor his parents sinned. It is so that the works of God might be visible through him. We have to do the works of the one who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world." When he had said this, he spat on the ground and made clay with the saliva and smeared the clay on his eyes and said to him, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. So he went and washed and came back able to see. His neighbors and those who had seen him earlier as a beggar said, "Isn't this the one who used to sit and beg?" Some said, "It is," but others said, "No, he just looks like him." He said, "I am." So they said to him, "How were your eyes opened?" He replied, "The man called Jesus made clay and anointed my eyes and told me, 'Go to Siloam and wash.' So I went there and washed and was able to see." And they said to him, "Where is he?" He said, "I don't know." Some of the Pharisees said, "This man is not from God, because he does not keep the Sabbath." But others said, "How can a sinful man do such signs?" And there was a division among them. So they said to the blind man again, "What do you have to say about him, since he opened your eyes?" He said, "He is a prophet." Now the Jews did not believe that he had been blind and gained his sight until they summoned the parents of the one who had gained his sight. They asked them, "Is this your son, who you say was born blind? How does he now see?" His parents answered and said, "We know that this is our son and that he was born blind. We do not know how he sees now, nor do we know who opened his eyes. Ask him. He is of age. He can speak for himself." His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jews, for the Jews had already agreed that if anyone acknowledged him as the Christ, he would be expelled from the synagogue. For this reason, his parents said, "He is of age, question him." So a second time they called the man who had been blind and said to him, "Give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner." He replied, "If he is a sinner, I don't know. One thing I do know is that I was blind, and now I see." So they said to him, "What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes?" He answered them, "I told you already, and you did not listen. Why do you want to hear it again? Do you want to be his disciples too?" They ridiculed him and said, "You are that man's disciple. We are the disciples of Moses. We know that God spoke to Moses, but we do not know where this one is from." The man answered and said to them, "This is what is so amazing, that you do not know where he is from, yet he opened my eyes. We know that God does not listen to sinners, But if one is devout and does his will, he listens to him. It is unheard of that anyone ever opened the eyes of a person born blind. If this man were not from God, he would not be able to do anything. They answered and said to him, "You were born totally in sin, and you are trying to teach us?" Then they threw him out. When Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, he found him and said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" He answered and said, "Who is he, sir, that I may believe in him?" Jesus said to him, "You have seen him, and the one speaking with you is he." He said, "I do believe, Lord." And he worshiped him. Then Jesus said, "I came into this world for judgment, so that those who do not see might see, and those who do see might become blind." Some of the Pharisees who were with him heard this and said to him, "Surely we are also not blind, are we?" Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no sin. But now you are saying, 'We see,' so your sin remains." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. I remember vividly the first time that I met her and her husband. I was a newly ordained priest, and she sat in the first pew of the church. She was blind, and he was deaf. What was really amazing to me is that they helped one another to do whatever they had to do. And I remember the first Mass that I celebrated with them on that day in Auburn was a special moment indeed for me. After Mass, I had met many people, and they came up to me, and she introduced herself. Her name was Grace, and his name was Ben. And she asked me, "Father, come closer so that I can see you." She then took her hands and placed her hands on my face and pulled my face forward close to hers, right in front of her face, just like this. And then, without saying anything further, she said, "Now I can see you. Now I can see you." You know, it's quite extraordinary for most of us who have the gift of sight to be able to visualize many things in life, people, places, experiences. But when our sight is taken away from us, it is something that is rather challenging indeed. When we see the story in the Gospel of the man born blind, we see evidence of how God wishes to restore not only physical sight, but renewed spiritual sight and perspective as well. That's the beautiful gift of faith that Jesus offers to us. He enables us to see things from his point of view and perspective, and never forcing himself upon us, but always desiring to welcome us into his presence so that we can approach him with confidence and faith and trust. The man born blind was certainly one of those people who I'm sure was perhaps a bit curious, but perhaps a little bit nervous about meeting Jesus. But one thing he did have was the ability to ask Jesus to restore his sight, and he did. But not only that, he offers him physical sight. He helps him gain confidence in himself and invites him to share in the redemptive act of restoration by going to wash in the pool of Siloam. Furthermore, once he receives his physical sight, he actually sees the people around him, and he invites them in and engages in this dialogue, this conversation, and People are curious about who Jesus really is, you know. Why is he healing on a Sabbath? Why is he doing this this particular time, this particular day? But the man truly is a great gift to not only the world in which he lived, but the world we live in today, because we ourselves are in need of greater awareness of who God is and how God can heal and restore our sight. Please, God, whatever it is that we are blinded by, especially the impact of sin in our lives, that we may ask God to heal our sight so that we can visualize and see things from God's point of view and perspective. This Lenten season is a perfect time for us to do that. And so I pray that you and others you know may be willing to ask Jesus to open your eyes and perhaps see things from a clearer perspective by the mercy and the grace of God in your life today. God bless you. Have a blessed Lent and a happy Easter.